Hello, and welcome to episode 32?
I have no idea.
33?
Maybe.
We just released 31, and we've got 2 in the bank.
So this would be 34.
This would be 34. It's one of the episodes. It's season 2, episode 2 of Anime Territory.
Second season, baby!
Technically, the last episode that we released is the first episode of season 2, but this is the first show we're covering in season 2. That was just kind of a retrospective.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm your host this week, Jonathan Ruhal. You can just call me Johnny. And as always, I've got my co-host, Benjamin, the belly button stealing god of thunder, shabbing.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay, I also had another one written down from the show, which was Twisted Monster Virgin. So
Okay.
I was debating which one to give you.
I wrote that down in my notes. I'm just like, why did I write this down? Oh, I think it was just because it was funny.
It's just something they call Shirogane at one point that I'm like, oh, that describes us. Either one of us. We are, if you haven't guessed it from the title of the show, we're covering the first season of Love is War. Kaguya-sama, Love is War, officially. A show that we've probably talked about several times. I know we talked about it in our spring preview episode that we released not too long ago. Which, as of the time of recording, we have not released. So it's kind of hard for me to keep these things. We finally have stuff banked up, and it's throwing me off.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got... we're going to cover season 1. And
Season
then
1.
The next time, season 2?
Probably.
We have plenty of time with the banked up stuff. So, I don't know what to say. I love this show. 9 out of 10.
I'd give it 8.
Okay.
Which is great. I mean, I think it's more comedy as you go. I think it's a little bit more of a comedy show rather than romantic.
I think
There's
as you
issues.
go on, it gets a little bit more romantic, though, too. I guess if I'm just looking at season 1, maybe I'd give it an 8.
Yeah.
But I, am craving another episode and debating, I know we watch it together. It's like, do I cheat and watch it without him because you're working some Saturday? Or, but, that just shows how good the show is. It's like, a new episode is out. I want to watch it immediately. You're not always free immediately when it comes out. But yeah, no, like I said, it's a comedy romance. It's a com-rom, not a rom-com. At least in season 1.
Not a zombie rom-com.
No, it's not a zombie romantic comedy. That's Warm Bodies is the movie that we called a zombie rom-com. Back in high school. Jeez, so long ago. Would have been at least 10 years ago.
Almost. Graduated in 2013.
Yeah, but when did we talk about this? Was it 2013? When we talked about Warm Bodies? It was... No, because it was 2012 when we talked about it, I think. Or 2011.
I want to say it was 2013, though.
Because we kept saying that Ram Zomkon sounded like he was running for president.
Yeah, I always thought we said Ram Zomcom 2016, though.
Maybe you're right. I guess we could look up when Warm Bodies came out and see. But I don't care that much about it. Enough about Warm Bodies. Okay. Kaguya-sama Love is War. This show is ridiculous in how over the top it is, if that makes sense. The things that happen are grounded, but just the
situations, I guess?
The situations are not, I would say the characters' reactions to the situations are over dramatic and over the top.
Gotcha. 2013.
2013. Okay. So whatever. Rom Zomcom. Romantic zombie comedy. I don't know, it's hard to say what I was going to say because now I'm completely thrown off. You didn't have to look that up. I didn't care that much.
I had to know.
Kaguya-sama, Love is War, overly dramatic. Okay, yeah, it's just they go to great depths and the logical loops that they go through thinking are ridiculous. That it's just amazing. So I think it's episode... When is the episode that has the umbrella?
Episode 5.
Episode 5. Okay. So in this episode, just to give you a spoiler for this bit, I guess. We're going into spoilers now. they both want to share an umbrella. And in order to share an umbrella, somebody has to have forgotten their umbrella. So at the exact same time, they say, I've forgotten an umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, now it turns into, instead of us sharing an umbrella, we have to figure out, we both theorize that the other one is lying about forgetting their umbrella, but we have to prove it. And, we have to prove that they lied about it, because then we could take that as proof that they are into us.
Yeah.
Because the whole premise of the show is that they're both into each other, but neither one wants
to admit it first.
To admit it, because they have a perceived notion that whoever confesses their love first is like the
beta, I guess.
The beta of the relationship.
Yeah.
So neither one wants to be the first one to admit it. So they are constantly going through mental games to try to get closer to each other and also get the other one to admit their feelings.
Yeah. That's basically what the show is.
And yeah, it's a constant struggle between I want to spend time with them or do things with them versus I
can't let them know
them know that I'm into them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be the first one to reach out. So they both say they forgot. So they're both like, okay, if I can prove that they are lying about this, then I can take that as proof and pressure them into admitting their feelings for me. Okay.
I think Kaguya doesn't actually have an umbrella. She's purposely forgot one.
No, she has one.
She has one too? Okay.
Yeah, we see it in both their bags.
Okay, I just remember seeing it in Shiragani's.
But he like the lengths they go to, like they both checked the weather obviously in the morning and knew that like, okay, we need to. Today's the day to do this. Mm-hmm. And just in this match, Kaguya was way more prepared.
Didn't she? This is the episode she slashed a tire, right?
Yeah, she slashes her tire, so it's like, oh, I have to walk home today instead of getting a ride home because we had a flat tire for some reason.
Mm-hmm. One, that's just incredible. Two, pretty sure you could replace a tire by that time.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just like that moment comes where it's just like, wait a minute. She slashed her own tire. That's amazing. But that's the kind of stuff. They're just... Those are the lengths they will go to.
Essentially just they're playing mind games on trying to get each other to admit their feelings first.
Yeah. Which I wrote down that overall, they're both good at both of these things. But overall, I think Kaguya is the better planner. She plans further ahead. And I think Shirogane is more improvisational. Yeah. He can improvise better. Mm-hmm. He catches on to things in the moment and can think through his options quickly.
Yes.
But I mean, they're both good at that. I don't know what else to say about this show. There's sort of a plot. I feel like we need to talk more about the characters than the plot, but
okay.
Because the plot is really just here. Every episode is like 2 to 3 bits that they get in, and they don't overstay their welcome. Mm-hmm. And it's just these characters sort of being romantic, and other characters being adorable or funny. One character being depressed or scared. So I think we should talk about the student council.
Okay.
And the 5th main character, which is the maid.
Yeah.
Would be, I think, considered the 5th main character. So we've got Miyuki Shirogane is the student council president of the school, which the school they go to is like this super elite. You either have to have like a scholarship to go here,
or super rich,
or be super rich. Yeah. So he is not super rich. He's poor, but he's at the top of his class, and he's like a workaholic. He's got a part-time job. His family lives in a small apartment. Mm-hmm. We learn more about like his dad's financial situation, I think, in season 2.
Yeah.
But he is sleep deprived, overworked, overstudies. But he's the top. He's
top of the class. Everybody likes him because he's top of the class.
He
very stoic.
Yes.
He's got mean eyes.
He's got very mean eyes. Yes. I would say his one weakness is that he does like our next main character, Kaguya. Shinomiya, that's the last name. Okay. She is second highest in the class, but she is also
super rich.
Super rich. I think they said they had like.
I think if you like roughly convert it as like
she was a trillionaire.
Yeah, she was a trillionaire.
Roughly converted, she was a trillionaire in assets. No,
yeah.
that's not money and all, but her family is super influential, super rich, and she is frustrated that she's not also number one because she's not the best at it, but she does like the student council president,
and she's vice president.
Yeah, she is vice president.
I don't know if we said that.
No, but she's in the student council as well. She's vice president. She is kind of cold to people. In fact, she puts off a murderous aura at points. There are times when she thinks of certain people as less than human. But she's kind of, underneath of it, she's adorable. I don't know, like that is her surface level, but she is adorable underneath it. And speaking of adorable, we have, and sometimes thought of as less than human, we have our third main character, Chika Fujiwara.
Fujiwara.
Not as rich as Kaguya, but is the the daughter of a politician.
Diplomat, something like that.
And she's not the top of her class, but she does okay.
She's a good student. A little ditzy, but...
Oh, a little ditzy? Extremely ditzy.
But she's not dumb. She's just, again, a little ditzy.
So she is... she's the secretary of the student council. If you don't know Chika, but you pay attention to the anime community, you've probably seen the Chika dance.
Yes.
Which is, they just replaced the normal ending with her singing a song and doing a fun dance, which took the internet by storm.
It did. It took America by storm.
Lots of people replicated it. They had I know they made they took the Ruby model and had it do the dance.
That's the one I watched.
There were people cosplaying, doing the dance and all that. But she's super ditzy. But surprisingly, at times, also conniving. There are times she's in the board game club, and there'll be times when they play weird games, and she finds some way to cheat the system or
try to cheat the system.
Yeah, the most recent example being when they play basically a memory game called Concentration.
They call it Concentration.
And she just straight up is using a marked cheat deck at first that they catch her on immediately. But they set it up that you're not automatically disqualified for cheating. You just get -5 points. And then they use a different deck, which is not marked, but it's not symmetrical on the back. So she was using the... she would when she'd pick up a card, she would place it down in a direction so that it was rotated in the manner of a clock.
Yeah.
So you got 1 through 12, and then if an ace is 1 and the king is 13, they have the same position. So she would move the king away from her to distinguish it from the ace.
Yes.
Which again they caught on and was able to
win.
Yeah, they were able to beat her. And then there's another time where the game was somebody picks a word and you're not allowed to say that word, and if you say that word you're disqualified. So she just completely changes her speaking rhythm so that it's unpredictable. So she is surprisingly very clever about things.
With that situation though, it's also she changed her speaking pattern, but she was also just trying to bait Kaguya to say the word that she wrote, but it was very obvious what she was trying to do.
Yeah.
So you kind of get that juxtaposition on kind of her personality.
Yeah. But she was also immediately beat the president. It's oh yeah, I knew you'd say serious. You're that was the other thing. You got to predict what other people are going to say recently. So she is surprisingly smart at those types of things. But situationally unaware of developments happening around here. We meet our fourth main character, which he doesn't show up until like episode
6.
Yeah, the very end of episode 5, we see him. We see him in the background, sort of like, oh, there are shots where it's like, wait a minute, what's that shadowy figure over there? Or he's in like 3 seconds. But we meet, what is his name?
I don't know his first name, but it's Ishigami.
Okay. See, I don't know. It might be you, Ishigami. I might be thinking of somebody else with the last name Ishigami. Anyway, I'll have it in a moment.
Okay. He is the treasurer of the student council.
Yes. It is you Ishigami. I got it right.
Cool.
He is sort of depressed and scared of Kaguya. He thinks Kaguya wants to murder him, probably because
she does.
There are times when he gets in the way of her plans to get Miyuki to say that he likes her. So just get this murderous aura, and I feel even bad that sometimes she looks at Chika with such disdain. Because Kaguya and Chika's relationship is they're best friends, but Chika
until Chika betrays her or something. Unknowingly betrays her.
It's like, you're not going according to plan. Or she gets compared to, like, Chika's bust size is bigger. So she's just like, you're this absolute scum of the earth. And then Chika will do something that will redeem herself in Kaguya's eyes. But I think it's just Kaguya is sometimes jealous of Chika and her forwardness, and again, bust size comes up every now and again. Shirogane is really good with numbers. That's why Shirogane's also good with numbers, but yes, Ishigami is really good with numbers. That's why he's the treasurer.
He's good with calculations.
The president is the only one elected. The other members are appointed. Yeah. So Shirogane is like, I want to quit because I fear for my life.
Ishigami
wants to quit because he fears for his life. That's our introduction to him.
Yes.
Our official introduction to him. Even though he's like good at math and being a treasurer, he
is an awful student.
Yeah, he's a bad student. He almost failed. He's got a bad reputation because he missed some school in middle school.
Which they get into in season 2.
Yeah. He'd rather be playing video games. He's just addicted to video games than studying. And I don't know. He's the go-to otaku / nerd in the group. Yeah. Which
he like always says the wrong thing.
Yes, he's always saying the wrong thing.
That's kind of his shtick.
There's one point where they're like, "Oh, we should go on a trip together," and they're like, "Yeah, that sounds great," but Chika's like, I can't. I'm going to Hawaii for my family, and they're like, "Okay, well, we can do something. Instead of going on a big trip, we can do something in town. There's this festival on this day," and Chika's like, "I can't go. I'll be in Spain." And Ishigami.
Well, then they're like, "Well, we can go without you," and she's like, "How dare you go without me?"
And Ishigami's like, "You're going to Spain without us? Like, we're not allowed to have fun because you can't fit it into your schedule? Like, how dare you?" Chika runs off mad, saying that he's an idiot or something.
Or like he's just mean.
Yeah. And it's like, what did I do wrong? And Kaguya and Shirogane are like, no, you were in the right this time. She's full of it. This is her overreacting. You're completely in your rights to what you said. But he's, I would say he's good friends with the president by the end of season 1. They're on good terms. And his relationship with Kaguya is, again, one of fear.
Yeah.
But Kaguya is like, you can't disgrace the student council name by failing, so I'm going to help you study. And speak up for you when people are whispering that I shouldn't hang out with you. Again, sort of a selfish reason. She wants the student council to look good, not necessarily him to look good. But there's some kindness in there. Yeah. But he is often saying the wrong thing. Giving the president bad advice or just...
There's a point where the president's like, what's your input on this budget? And he's like, let's do a love tax.
Yeah. Screw any...
Any couples.
Any club that has a couple. You're going to dox them we're going to dox them money for each couple. Like, how dare they get money and love? He's like mad at a soccer player who can't go on a date with his girlfriend because he's got practice. It's like, if you've got a girlfriend, respect her. She should be the most important, not practice.
Screw practice.
Talking about practice. Not talking about a game. We're talking about practice. On a Sunday, no less.
Wow, I can't believe you made that reference.
Yeah, that's a basketball player mispractice sort of thing?
Yeah, just a famous rant.
Yeah.
Basketball player did.
It's famous enough that I've heard about it.
It's famous enough to where shows spoof it.
Yeah, but I heard the original thing. Was that when we were in high school?
Nah, it was probably earlier than that.
Earlier than high school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because, like, being on the soccer team mean that we hung around with a lot of people that cared about sports.
I mean, I care about sports.
Yeah, but when we're hanging out with our actual friend group, you're pretty much the only one, unless you're talking Bears football with...
That's true.
Somebody. Or you go to hockey, which you don't really care about that much.
I don't really care about. I know very little about hockey.
Yeah. So it's like our sports talk was very minimal in our normal friend group, but our extended soccer friend group, we'd hear more about sports stuff because we'd have to go to practice 6 days a week and or games. So
and we didn't have to worry about having girlfriends. So.
Yeah, we didn't have that problem. Everybody else on the soccer team did, but not us.
Nope, we were committed to the game.
I don't know if I'd say that about me. And then our fifth main character is not on the student council, but is Kaguya's live-in maid, Hayasaka?
Hayasaka, yeah.
Who, like, is normally very, like, reserved and offering good advice, but she will take on, like, different personalities at times. Like, when she's at school, because she is basically the same age as them, when she's at school, she's got like this like carefree,
popular, bubbly personality.
Yeah, bubbly personality, but it's all like a front. And they like keep it hidden that she works for her and goes to the same school. Like nobody knows about that.
They said it in the thing. I don't remember what she was, but like her parents are like.
Her parents like work for the company.
Yeah, they're like associates for.
Like she's not related to Kaguya, but her parents are like higher up.
Work with them, and I guess
in the Shinomiya conglomerate. So I'm sure that she's been, a live-in maid for several years at this point. But she's sort of Kaguya's other best friend. The secret best friend that nobody knows about. Yeah. Offering her advice and helping her navigate.
She's Kaguya's Alfred.
Yeah. But she's like also like trying to set up situations for her and like also being like there's a point where Kaguya doesn't want to be the first one to text the president. Yeah. And then like eventually their text conversation starts. But there's another point where Kaguya's like, okay, I've joined Twitter, but I don't want to. If I try to follow the president, he's going to know that I tried to follow him. So I'll just make my own private Twitter account and try to get him to follow me first. And she's like, that didn't work out very well for you last time. Like don't go down this road again.
And she went down that road
again. Yeah. The other thing to they're like she's sick at one point. Kaguya is sick, which she just turns into like she loses her ego, and turns into a creature of id only when she's sick and feverish. And the president goes to visit her to give her some homework or handouts or whatever, and first of all, Hayasaka disguises herself to not look like the student at that school, gives a false name, and says
Herthsaka or something.
Herthika or something like that.
Herthika of the Valley of the Wind, yeah.
No, don't you do that. I told you not to do that. Don't you dare butcher Nausicaa's name.
Sorry, Hasaka of the Valley of the Dead. In New Jersey.
It's better. Alright, we got our blank check reference
Boom.
done for the day. Check that off. We have not gotten another guy's reference, so we'll have to wait on that for it to come up naturally. But she's just like, okay, she's in here. I've got to go do some other jobs. The walls are soundproof, and nobody will be in here for 3 hours. Don't do anything untowards.
You got 4 hours. Make it count.
Fairly I'm sure it was 3.
Whatever.
But Kaguya is sick, and it's like, President, what are you doing here? And then, like, tells him to get in her bed with her. And he's like, oh, what do I do?
Oh, no.
And then he falls asleep in her bed. And she wakes up, and the fever has passed, and she's regained her conscious mind. It doesn't remember anything from when she was sick. And throws him out, and is mad that he would dare to do something like that, but also mad that it seems like nothing happened.
She's mad that nothing happened.
And the president just fell asleep because, again, he's
sleep deprived
and overworked.
Again, I'm pretty sure how it went was Shirogane got into bed. He's like, oh my god, I'm in the bed with Kaguya. What do I do? He falls asleep. Yeah. Nothing.
Which, like, the episode after that, there's, like, some bitter feelings towards them, and they try to get advice from... the president tries to get advice from Shirogane.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's Shirogane. Tries to get advice from Ishigami. And Kaguya gets advice from a character we haven't mentioned before.
Just a different student who had previously come for love advice.
To Kaguya. Yeah. And is dating a boy who came to Shirogane for love advice. Despite the fact that neither of them are qualified to be giving love advice. That couple got together.
Yeah, it worked out.
Much to the disdain of another character who really we don't learn about until season 3.
The best thing about rewatching season 1 is just like her in the background. You're like, oh shit,
she's there when the guy asks her out. She follows when we see them on like dates. She's following them. Yeah. She's just there in the background. It's like, yes, good. They planted this character well.
I had no idea.
But what is it? Oh yeah. So they both get advice. Just like, well, what's the problem? Like, you shouldn't be mad about anything. And then Kaguya finally comes to the conclusion in her head, but maybe not out loud, that she's kind of mad that nothing happened.
Yeah. Am I that repulsive?
Yeah. And Shirogane is told, like, well, if you haven't done anything wrong, then you don't have anything that you're feeling guilty for anymore. And he's like, well, there's one thing I feel guilty for. So he's like, I lied to you earlier.
I did.
And I said I didn't lay a finger on you. I laid exactly one finger on you. And it was just on her lips or something. Yeah. So Kaguya lays a finger on his lips and says, okay, we're even now. And then runs away. And it's like, it's adorable.
Oh. That's
I mean, like, the climax.
Give me that was it serotonin?
Probably. What do I look like? A brain scientist?
I assumed you were the smart one.
Of the two of us. Doesn't say much, though.
Because I'm the funny one.
God. You keep thinking that. Just keep thinking that, bud. That kind of leads into our final arc, which is they decide, like, hey, yeah, we're going to go on that trip to see fireworks. Mm-hmm. They don't hang out whatsoever during the summer.
No communication.
There's a couple of near misses. Neither of them wants to be the first one to reach out because they're embarrassed and they...
Yeah.
Like, at this point, it's more like...
They're dumb. They're just dumb
At this point,
kids.
they're more embarrassed to do it
as
opposed to, I don't want to be the first one. I want them to admit. So, you can see that it's turned more into that than it has been. I mean, that still maintains throughout that they are wanting the other one to admit it, but it becomes more of a... I want to spend time with them, but I'm too embarrassed to try to spend time with them, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they finally have the plans to go to this fireworks show, and servants other than Hayasaka that are higher up in the hierarchy are like, absolutely not. Crowd's going to be too big.
More security.
Yeah, it's like crowd's going to be too big. So they had more control over it. It's like they could shut things down. You can't go. Crowd's going to be too big. We could lose you in the crowd, and then you get kidnapped or something. Because
your father has been unapproving of your behavior lately. Or something.
Yeah, you've been acting weird lately. Whatever. So, we get a glimpse of her father slightly before that because a shopping trip she has planned with Chika's sisters and Shirogane's younger sister, Kei, who is friends with Chika's younger sister. One of the reasons that Kaguya thinks of Chika as so less is that Shirogane's sister, who she wants to have a solid relationship with,
it's like
thinks of Chika as a
sister
already. We can talk about that a little bit more, but she's like summoned away to the main house in Kyoto on the day that they're supposed to go on that shopping trip. It's like, your father wants you to be in that house, and she gets like a glimpse of him there while she's just sitting there waiting, and he's just like, oh, you're here, good, and then walks away.
Yeah.
Like, you had me come all the way out to Kyoto for that piece of shit.
Yeah.
Her father we learned then that no love ever given to her from her father. Honestly, probably raised by Hayasaka's parents, if I had to guess.
Probably raised by her maids,
bodyguards and stuff. Yeah. But they're like, okay, you can't go. She's pouting about it. She says on Twitter she can't go. No, I mean, she tells them that they can't go. She
texts them saying, sorry, can't go. But then
on Twitter she says, like, I wish I could see the fireworks.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure, what's her name? Hayasaka actually did that.
Oh, okay.
Not Kaguya. Because, like, you see that scent, and Kaguya's still in bed, and, like, Hayasaka's walking towards her. So I got the assumption that Hayasaka did that.
Okay. But Hayasaka's like, I mean, I've got an escape plan. I figured you'd be trying to escape by now. Kind of give her some courage. It's like, all right, I got it. Meanwhile, Shiragani's like, I saw the tweet. I'm going to go rescue her. He sees that Hayasaka is in disguise in the window. Like, he recognizes that it's not Kaguya.
She, like, basically, what do you call that? It's not zipline, but she, like, swings out the window, basically.
Yeah.
And just does a superhero landing out.
Yeah. Gets a taxi, drives over there. Shiragane's trying to find her on his bike. The other ones are trying to find her. The fireworks have ended. People have started.
Well, she's in the taxi. There's huge traffic, so she's
like, she gets
I'll
out
go on foot. And as she gets to the fireworks, it's ended. And
she saw them up real close, sort of, but in between buildings, so it wasn't ideal. Then it ends. The crowd sort of disperses, and she's just crying in an alleyway. President finds her, says some slick lines, which he later regrets because they sounded embarrassing in post.
Yeah.
They all get in a taxi. Same taxi as before. They're like, there's another fireworks show in this other place. Taxi driver, I need you to try to get there in 20
Robert
minutes.
De Niro, I need you to get here stat.
So he's like, you got it, kids. And it's like, he's listed as one of like the 4 big taxi drivers or something.
No, he's one of the ramen kings.
Oh, he's one of the ramen kings?
Yeah.
I knew he was like, they used the same like splash. But,
yeah. No, he's a ramen king.
Got it. But he's like, all right, I got this. And then they can sort of see the fireworks they can see it really well from like this bridge inside the car. But Kaguya's like, I couldn't hear the fireworks because my heart was beating so loud. She
wasn't even looking at the fireworks. She was looking at Shirogane.
Yeah. And then there's a little bit of a skit after that where they're like, Shirogane's like, man, I said some really embarrassing things. And
they're just like avoiding each other because like Kaguya is so embarrassed on like how turned on she is essentially what he did, and he's like, oh, what I did was so embarrassing. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah. But they get back to normal fairly soon.
No, they keep avoiding each other. And then eventually Kaguya says something that Shirogane interpreted as, wow.
That was cringe.
That was cringe.
Well, she's trying to apologize and is like accidentally hitting him with the broom or whatever that she was having. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, that must be painful. But he took it as what you said must be painful. Then he runs away. And then the narrator says, they went back to normal the next day. Which is, speaking of the narrator, not a character per se, but a big part of the show.
I guess, yeah. I forgot the narrator.
I love the narrator. He just hypes everything up. He's telling you like the mental gymnastics they're going through. And I wrote down, one of my notes is, the narrator gets me. he gets it. And they like also set it up like every like skit that they do has a winner or a loser, or a tie or something like that. Yeah. Which I think I kept jotted down. Yeah. Should we talk about the Ramen Kings real quick?
We can talk about the Ramen Kings, I guess.
Okay. Shortly before the festival arc, Chika comes back. She's like, okay, I'm going to go. I think we came home early from our trip to Spain, and I'm like not going on our next trip so that she can go to the fireworks festival as well. So she comes back into town, and she goes to this ramen shop. And this is all from the perspective of this one dude who's just like a salary man. Yeah, whatever. He's like, my hobby is going to ramen shops, and like, he knows
getting the perfect combination of that ramen shop.
Yeah,
something like that.
And he's like, most people go for this, but I go for this one. This is the perfect combination available at this shop. And like the shopkeeper gets it, and he's just like over analyzing. He self-declared one of the 4 ramen kings
of like Kanto or whatever, wherever they're at.
And then he sees Chika coming. He's like, it's some noob ramen person. But
some little kid. It's like, oh, how adorable.
But she straight away orders the same thing as him, except instead of getting the same like firmness of noodles, instead of getting firm noodles, she gets super firm noodles. And he's like, oh, okay, she's not a threat to my top ramen.
She's still young.
She's still young. She chose the super popular choice of super firm. And he's like, you got to eat it in this order to do things. And instead, Chika starts...
He called it the water cycle.
Yeah. They like replenish with water to re-clear your palate and start over. And then he's like... Then he's surprised because like, oh no, she's doing mini ramen where she like basically puts all the flavors in her spoon at once.
And he's like, oh, that's kind of popular. That's kind of a cool thing people do. But it's like...
But it's going to stretch out your noodles. It's like, wait a minute. She got the super firm.
They're going to expand.
That's what it's going to basically turn into the firm noodles. Maybe she is a genius. But she's got one weakness. And it's because she's a woman. She didn't add any garlic. And also, she's run out of toppings. It's just like the broth and the noodles. And then... Chika adds a whole thing of garlic and drinks all of the broth and the noodles. And he's like, you don't do that. That's so much like salt. And then he's just like, but I remember when I was young and I did that.
She's got a future.
And then at some point I became an old man.
Also, I like how, as all this is happening, the like cook knows, like,
the cook's like giving him nods.
Yeah, like he knows what's happening. He knows what he's thinking,
and we have no idea if the cook actually does or not, other than like a few nods here and there. And then eventually, as she finishes, the guy is just like gives her a thumbs up without any words. Yeah. And she's like, "Okay, old guy,"
creepy old
completely guy. Oblivious to the fact that he's been judging her ramen eating skills. But he's just like, he's one of the 4 ramen kings, and they quickly show like 3 other people. But I guess the taxi driver was one of them. I didn't know if he was one of them or if they were like, well, there's the 4 ramen kings, and this we're going to use the same thing and say that this guy is one of the 4 taxi kings or something.
I'm pretty sure it was ramen king.
Okay. I'd honestly, it would have had to freeze frame because it's too quick for me to read the subtitles that pop up. But yeah, we can talk about the records now, the score.
Okay. Okay. So basically what I did was whatever the narrator said, I wrote down. Okay. So depending on the situation, if it was like a one-on-one and it said Shirogane loses, I wrote it as Shirogane loses, not like
Kaguya wins.
Yeah. Got it. So whatever the narrator said is what I wrote down. So Shirogane had 6 wins, 8 losses and 2 ties.
Okay.
So 6, 8, and 2. Kaguya had 6 wins, 6 losses, and 2 ties. So very similar records for those two. And then Fujiwara had 3 wins.
Okay.
Ichigami had a win and a loss.
Got it.
That's all the ones I wrote down.
And there was some where it's like no contest.
Yeah, there's some no contest. There was like this random person won. If it wasn't one of the main 4, I didn't really write it down.
Okay.
But I guess overall, Kaguya came out with the better overall record just because she had
they had
2
the
less
same.
losses.
They had the same amount of wins and the same amount of ties. So, but she had less losses.
Mm-hmm.
But what else do we have to talk about? Do we want to move into?
We haven't talked about a plot a lot of it, but we kind of just been talking specific
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk before the arcs, before like the visit arc and the festival arc. It was just this, them.
Those are kind of the big stories.
Yeah, those are the big overarching arcs. Mm-hmm. I would say that the rest of it is awesome. It's amazing, but it's all like self-contained 11 minutes, and I really don't want to go too in details about what all happened. But
I mean, I can kind of give you what happened, and then if there's one like you really like, we can talk about it. So episode 1, we have, you get the whole spiel about the whole premise, basically of.
Yeah, people see the president and the vice president as when they're walking together, it's like they make such a good couple, and they're both just like, I would never, but if they asked me, I'd consider it.
Yeah. Then 6 months passed and nothing happened.
Then 6 months passed with nothing happening. And apparently, Kaguya was very, dour during those 6 months and eventually came to be the personality we see in the show. It was something that Chika tells us at some point, I think.
But, let's see. So, that happens, and then we get into more of your typical 10 or 5-minute bits that we have. Yeah. So, first one is Chika gets tickets to a movie but can't go, so she offers them to, I think, Shirogane, or she's asked if you two want to go, and it's this romantic romance movie, but you learn that Kaguya gave her the tickets to the situation,
and made sure that it was for the day when the president wasn't working, and it's revealed her underhanded, her scheming behind it all.
I forget what happened, but it was basically just Shirogane shot the gun too quick to where he already invited Shirogane or Kaguya to the movie, I think, but he somehow wiggled his way out of it to where it's oh, so you want to go to the movie with me?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of I don't really care that much for movies. We have to invite them / get invited without appearing desperate. Yeah, is the method that they do. And I
forgot how it concluded.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Oh well. But then you got Kaguya gets a love letter. They talk about it, and then the last one was the lunch. Shirogane makes lunch, and then Kaguya's desperately trying to get one of his bites because it's I just want him to feed me.
Yeah, but he also Chika has him make a lunch for her too at some point. And
that's the first time you're dead to me.
Yeah.
Episode 2, Shirogane gets a new iPhone, and it's all about him secretly trying to get Kaguya to ask for his number, but it's realized Kaguya has a flip phone, so
they can't be online. They can text each other.
Yeah, they eventually exchange numbers, but that was the whole bit. It's I'll try to get her to ask first.
So he sets his profile picture up as a picture of him as a little.
I think it's a Line account, but her phone doesn't have Line, so that's why he couldn't do it. But they did exchange numbers.
Yes,
eventually.
At a point, he she's complaining that she can't see it, and he's oh no, she's genuinely sad. Here, I feel bad for you. You can see it, and he's oh no, this is a trap. He pulls it away, but for a split second, she's I already saw it, memorized it.
She already memorized it.
It's too late.
Too late. The results of this round: Kaguya wins, and they later exchange phone numbers.
Yeah.
And then they talk about summer vacation plans. What is it?
Mountains versus beach.
First, Shirogane wants the mountains, Kaguya wants the beach, but then
they switch. Because
Shirogane hates bugs.
Yeah.
And Kaguya doesn't want to see Chika in a swimsuit.
Kaguya's like, I want him to see me in a swimsuit, but I don't want him to see Chika in a swimsuit, and she would show up as well.
Yeah.
And I would pale in comparison. So they switch sides on that.
And then they eventually let Chika decide, and she chooses Haunted Mountains.
Yeah. And they never go on that trip because Chika's in Hawaii and then Spain and somewhere else. Yeah, Egypt. So.
And then the last bit in that episode is the president gives love advice to like an underclassman.
Yeah, which we mentioned that guy. So.
But Shirogane doesn't know anything.
That's where we got the phrase "twisted monster virgin" from.
Mm-hmm. But he gives the wall trap. What do you call that?
I don't. It's wall slam is what it's normally called, but he called it something else. I don't remember.
It's just basically slap the wall right up against like a lady and just be like, "Hey, go out with me," and it worked.
It worked.
Episode 3, they go over this love magazine. That's where it's like 33% of high school students says they've done it before.
Yeah, and Kaguya thinks it's talking about kissing, and everyone else knows that it's about sex.
Yeah.
And Kaguya's like, I've done it before.
I've done it with
I did it to my little nephew.
And my dog.
No, she's like, surely, Chika, you've done it with your dog. And they're like, Kaguya, what do you think first time means?
Yeah.
I'm not that sheltered. Obviously, it means kissing. Chika goes up. And you hear a few choice words, and then he puts it in. And it's like, what?
Everybody knows you don't do that till marriage. And then that's a bit. Then you got the 20 questions.
But they do it they have to do it in 10. Yeah. Shirogane says like, oh, I know you fairly well. And it's like, it's something that Kaguya likes. And it's a living thing. Yeah. And it's like, is it me? Do I answer me? And he's about to answer me. And he's like, wait a minute. I know her too well. This is a trap. Is it a dog?
It's Chika's dog, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
But she was trying to trick him into saying him. But he'd be like, no, I meant the dog. You think that I like you? How cute. That's his one fear.
That's his fears.
He keeps imagining, like, if I say this in this situation, she'll look at me and say, how cute. She'll look down on me saying that. Which it's like, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Do it. I'm into that.
The last bit of episode 3 is Kaguya walks to school. First time she's ever able to walk to school because she's always driven. And she's like trying to like run into Shirogane. It's like she kind of knows his route because it's kind of the same route. But she gets like sidetracked by this lost/scared girl, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be late to school. This has never happened before. Oh well."
Shirogane shows up on the bike. He's like, "We can't be late to school.
We're student council.
We're gonna set an example. Get on the back of my bike.
Get on the back of my bike.
School rules trump traffic laws."
So it's like a happy ending.
Yeah.
And then episode 3 is when we get the Chika dance.
Yes. Amazing. Simply amazing.
Episode 4, they try on cat ears, and they're both like, "Oh shit, we're into cat ears."
It's like, damn it, she's hot. Damn it, he's hot with cat ears.
4, they also play the banned word game, which I think is the one where...
Yeah, that's when we talked about the banned word game.
Then they try their first call/text. I don't remember what happens in that one.
I think Hayasaka ends up like trying to call him, and then they talk for a second, and then they get hung up, and then Shirogane texts her like, "Hey, we lost connection, but whatever.
I'm in the bath now."
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But like, yeah, so he gets called. Hayasaka uses Kaguya's phone to call him. He's in the bathtub.
His dad answers.
Yeah, his dad answers. And then eventually he gets the phone, and then she gets embarrassed because he's naked in the tub, and then hangs up. And he's like, oh, you hung up, but whatever. Like, he sends her a text, and it's
Yeah.
like, haha, mission achieved. I wasn't the first one to text him.
And then it ends with the French party.
Oh, yes. They're hosting some French school. And the Shiragani's French isn't that good, but everyone else is
good.
Chika's
speak French.
Yeah, Chika's and Kaguya's French is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And the principal is like, I gotta test this Shirogane guy.
See if he's like, his fortitude, basically.
Yeah, they then hired some student council member from the French school to like verbally assault him.
How does the French school's like president?
Yeah, and she goes up to him and it's just like,
or
just slinging insults that'll make grown men cry, and he's just like, "Oui."
Yes, he doesn't know what they're saying.
And then Kaguya comes up and verbally assaults her.
Yeah.
And then like they beat her. So
we did it. Oh my god, I can't believe Shirogane heard me say that stuff. He's like, well, I don't know what you said.
Yeah.
Episode 5, Kaguya gives love advice to the other person.
Yeah.
We previously talked about.
The girlfriend of the guy,
mm-hmm.
Of the person who got asked out by the guy that sought love advice from Shirogane.
Oh, nothing much happens there. The next bit, Shirogane learns volleyball.
Yeah. He's trying to become competent at volleyball so he's not an embarrassment. Yeah. But he keeps closing his eyes when he's trying to serve.
He's just absolutely awful. He keeps like falling over and not hitting the ball.
Yeah. And Chika teaches him.
Yeah.
And eventually he's like doing well in class and people are like, hey, Shirogane's pretty good. And Chika's like, I raised that boy.
She's all like beaten up and scratches. Yeah. She's like, I raised that boy. It's a really good episode. I like where it's like they spend 3 days learning to serve, and he's like, yeah, now you can learn. Now we can go to like service.
Yeah, receiving and all that. And she's like, oh, I thought we were done.
And then last part of episode 5 is the umbrella.
Ah, yes. Great. Mm-hmm. We've already talked about that scene. It's amazing.
Episode 6, we finally get Ishigami, who thinks Kaguya's trying to kill her. It's just like a misunderstanding, but also not.
Also not. Eventually, she shows up in like a white dress with blood stains on it and holding a knife. It's like, oh, I was helping the theater department. It's a fake knife. But Ishigami, if you get in the way of things, but like he's feared for his life.
Mm-hmm. Then they do a love test. Is that with like the magazine?
Yeah, they're doing this.
It's like psychological.
Yeah, there's a book in the library that's like these psychological questions, and Kaguya has read it, knowing that it would pique Chika's interest, so she had to be prepared to answer the questions well. And
then she goes off the book, and she's like, "Oh no, she went off the book."
Yeah, she found one online, and then Kaguya's like,
"I guess I gotta answer truthfully."
Like, how many? There's a field full of flowers. How many flowers would you pick? And Chika's like, I would pick like a few, just the most beautiful ones. And she's like max 3. Yeah. And Kaguya was like, I would make a bouquet full, enough for a beautiful bouquet. Mm. And Shirogane is like, the flowers are free, you say?
I pick a whole truckload, as much as I can, and then sell them.
Yeah. And then Kaguya goes and looks at what the answer was, and it's like, how much feelings you're harboring for somebody, or how much love you have for somebody. And she's like, well, can't show that answer to anybody else.
Yep.
Chica's like, what was the answer? She's like, how much you love flowers. And Chica's like, what? But I love flowers.
Also, they're like, well, that's a little weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are you going to give me? You just Google questions like that.
And then last bit of that episode is Kaguya gets her nails done. And she's just like trying to get Shirogane to like notice it. And Shirogane's like, I can't. And then like towards the end. Bless you.
Excuse me.
I think it's just at the end. Shirogane is just like racing to try to tell her that her nails look nice.
Yeah.
Episode 7, they talk about holding hands.
Yeah, the guy wants love advice. It's like, how do I ask my girlfriend to hold my hand? And Shirogane is like, you rent a boat cruiser. And then like
take her out at like midnight or like
to see the sunset or something. and then just casually brush your fingers against and be like, "Oh, sorry," and then you'll be holding hands in no time. And it's like, we have to rent a boat.
It's like, I can't afford a boat. It's like, oh, you can rent one for like 3,000 yen.
He's like, I can't afford that. He's like, you'll need to get a part-time job. I can help out. It's like, I can't. Even though I can rent a boat, I can't drive a boat. It's like, you can get a small boating license. It's a 3-day course, and it's only 100,000 yen. And it's like, all together for everything that you're planning, you're going to need about 200,000 yen. So I can get you signed up with my part-time job.
It's like 200 yen an hour.
You have to work 40 days. 5 hours a day, 40 days.
And Chica just walks and is like, dude, just hold her hand.
Yeah. It's like...
No, he needs surgery for his...
Oh, yeah, that's right. He needs surgery because his palms are sweaty, too. That's part of it as well. And it's like no, it's fine if your palms are sweaty. You're supposed to feel awkward and mount up the courage to go for it. And then she's like, at least I think so. I don't know. I've never held anybody's hand.
But again, it all works out.
Yeah.
Then they do club activities. What is it? Chika and Kaguya are trying to get Shirogane to like
give more budget to
their clubs.
Yeah. Chika's like, the tabletop board game club is always buying more games. It's a money pit. We need more money. He's like, that's not really a reason why to give you more money.
Kaguya just wants to see Shirogane in like a classic archery outfit. So she's like, join my club.
Yeah, join the archery club. Shirogane is just like, I've got to being pulled by both of these women. I'm not going to join either club, but I'm going to let this play out a little bit because it makes me feel popular.
I got a part-time job. I can't do activities.
Yeah.
I want to let this...
just entertain this for a little bit longer.
And then the last bit of episode 7 is the wieners.
Oh, yeah. Kaguya, not wanting to be ignorant about first time again, has started studying basic human anatomy on her own.
But she's behind on what most people would be, so she's like at a 5th grade level to where like she's just bursts out laughing at words like boobs and wieners.
Yeah. And Chika says the word wiener, talking about her dog's wiener. And Kaguya starts laughing. Chica's like, yes! I wanted her to laugh out loud for so long. This is my goal. And then she tries to... Kaguya's like, the president comes in. Kaguya's like, you can't say that in front of the president. She's like, I'm a lady. I would never
say that.
But I can trick the president into trying to say it.
Kaguya knows what she's doing.
Yeah, it's like, what do you call that dog that looks like really long? And he's like, dachshund? It's like, don't they have another name? And he's about to say wiener dog. And then Kaguya's like, hot dog. Sometimes they get called hot dogs. Yeah. So like every time that...
It's like, what's that German food that comes on a stick?
Oh, yeah.
They want to say Wiener Schnitzel, but she's just like, Schnitzel or something.
Yeah. And it's like she kind of...
It's like, what's another word for hot dogs? Frankfurters, from the German city Frankfurt, where they originally came from.
Yeah. So, like, she keeps cutting it off before you can say wiener. And then eventually, Chica's like, I wanted wiener to come out of your mouth. And, like...
I wanted you to say wiener.
I wanted wiener to come out of your mouth, is what she said. Okay. Or at least what the subtitle did. And, he, like, runs off being like...
You guys are disgusting. I'm not getting my wiener out.
Yeah. And Ishigami is, like, outside the door, and he's just hearing Kaguya and Chika talk about wieners, and it's just completely... You take it out of context, it sounds like Chika's taken on a lot of wieners, and is trying to get Kaguya to take one.
An explosive nosebleed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that episode.
Yeah. Episode 8, we meet Shirogane's sister.
Kei. Mm-hmm. Shirogane.
Kaguya tries to get close to her so that she can get closer to Shirogane. But then...
Ishigami gets in the way because she's like the treasurer of the middle school student council. So she's like, oh, I wanted my brother to take a look at these reports, and she's like, oh, Kaguya's like, I can take a look at it. And then Ishigami comes in and is like, hey, you want to do this,
I think he's already in there. They just didn't notice him.
Yeah. And he's giving her like great advice. She's like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, what do I... Well, I didn't want to be like that competent. You know, there would be a natural distance between us. So instead I'll try to get closer some other way. But then Chika comes in and she's already super close to her, and Kaguya is disappointed that she couldn't get closer to Shiragani's sister. She wants Shiragani's sister to think of her as her own sister, and to be like accepted as part of their family, as an in. But she already thinks of Chika that way. But then later on, the president's talking to his sister back at home, and it's like, "Oh, I heard you stopped by the clubhouse," and we see that the sister's like, "Oh, I could barely think of anything to say to Kaguya," and she's like blushing. So it's like, yes, there is a seed of them liking each other in there. Hope's not dead, though Kaguya doesn't know it.
Gotcha. Then final exams.
Yes.
They're all cramming.
Yeah, and the president has like, "I need to be number one," and he's like playing mind games and like, "Oh, you don't want to study beforehand. And,
you don't want to cram for these. You just want to like go in with what you know."
And Kaguya is also doing the same thing because they're trying to get each other to not study super hard. And it's really only working on Chika, who doesn't have any reason to mistrust them.
It's like, Chika used to be pretty high up in the rankings, but ever since she joined student council, it just keeps going down for some reason.
It just keeps slipping a little bit. Despite her attitude, she's actually a pretty good student, but it's just she's getting the negative effects, and it's not working on... Their employees are not working on each other. But Shirogane does come out on top, and his like whole reason for being like, "I need to be on top. I can't be less than her. I need to be her equal because I'm already less than her in terms of like
if
social
she's
standing.
ahead of me, then I have no chance, basically.
I need to be on the same ground as her."
Mm-hmm.
And it was super stressful for him. And
and Kaguya's tutoring Ishigami so he doesn't fail.
Yeah, she can't focus on her own studying as much because she's tutoring Ishigami. Despite him trying to run away. She's like hunting him down.
After multiple attempts, he just gave up.
Yeah. But that's the final exams.
Then episode 9. What is it? It's offering a ride. So there's like a huge storm going on, and like the subways are flooded.
Are flooded. Kaguya wants to give the president a ride,
but she doesn't want to offer him because
then it would seem like she wants him to ask for a ride.
Yeah.
Again, going back to
that driving date.
Yeah.
I don't think it exists, but whatever.
You drive around. I've done stuff like that. I mean, we were driving to a place, but
Chika gets a taxi and she's like tries to get her out of the room before she offers
Shirogane to go into the taxi with her. She's like, "Oh, my ride's here." And
no, Shirogane goes to the bathroom.
Yeah,
she sees that he gets like an alert that says, "Oh, the trains are up again." So she has to like kill his battery so he doesn't see.
Yeah, she replaces his iPhone or his smartphone battery with an already dead battery she had prepared in the room for situations like this, so that he couldn't check to see that the trains were back up. She's waiting outside for her car. Hayasaka is there, and it's like, "Kaguya, if you're going in the car with the president, how am I supposed to go home?" And Kaguya jokes with her and says, "Oh, you're going to have to walk." And she's like, "Karma's going to get you if you do that." And then we see the president fly by on his bike going super fast.
He's just going to book it home.
Yeah, and then she's like, "I was kidding about you having to walk home. I already called you a taxi."
Yeah.
But like he like splashes the both of them, and that's when Kaguya gets sick, which we've already talked about that. We've already talked about summer vacation. We've already talked about. I don't know. We pretty much covered the rest of the
pretty
series.
much got all of it after that. Yeah, because the next episode there's a kick incident, which is basically them just being mad at each other.
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh
Kaguya
yeah,
gets really mad. It's really adorable to me.
Yeah, that's part of them, like them being mad at each other for him not laying a finger on her or something. Yeah. So, but they both like remembered that Kaguya really liked shortcake, something that was said 6 months ago. And then,
you remember that? Ha! She says that really out loud, like, "Ha!" And it's adorable.
God, you should see the waveforms.
Oh shoot!
Your "ha" was so loud. And then she's like, well, I want you to have the cake because I remember that Christmas is just another day for you and you never get...
Christmas cake.
Never had Christmas cake before. He's like, oh, you remembered that?
I mean, you've never had Christmas cakes before?
Christmas tree cakes?
Yeah.
Little Debbie? Is it Little Debbie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Those are good.
Somehow
they're better than regular zebra cakes. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's the sprinkles on top.
I think it's the shape. It makes the consistency different.
Sure. I don't think it works like that. I don't think it's a Reese's egg situation here.
Nah, I think it's that. I think there's less cake. So you get a little bit more of a combination between cream and icing and cake. I think that's what it is.
I would say there's probably more icing. That's for sure.
Also, I think there's less cake, so it makes it a little bit more crunchy because of the icing.
Yeah, that's a thing. It's not as tall, so there's more. There's less space between your rigid icing. We're big Christmas tree cake aficionados in this household. Something that I don't think has come up on the podcast before. But you've got some in the freezer right now, and it's April. It's the end of April.
Well, I got them for Christmas, but we didn't do Christmas till March because of reasons. So, and I couldn't eat sweets during Lent, so.
Yeah, but now you can.
Now I can.
What else am I going to say? I mean, we're pretty much at the end of the show.
Yeah.
We've got All Aboard.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
All aboard! It's not a train, Ben. It's a ship.
It's kind of both. It's like a tugboat.
It was, I guess. Okay. We're talking about our ships, our favorite ships. Obviously, best ship of the show, Shirogane and Kaguya.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing ship.
Best. Yeah, it's a good ship. Trying to think of another honorable mention. Maybe Chika and Kaguya, because you get ever so.
I mean, that's a friendship.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about other ship.
Okay.
I think Chika gives out some vibes like, I like Kaguya.
I don't know. I don't think Chika has ever been in love before. I think she's obsessed with love, but has never been in love. Is my take on her character.
Okay.
And obviously there's the ship of like Shirogane and Chika, but that ship really only exists in Kaguya's mind as a fear.
Yeah.
Ishigami doesn't really have any ships in season 1. So
you can do the actual couple of the show, but nobody cares.
Yeah, those guys are side characters. Who cares about them? I guess they sort of become a little bit important, like season 3, episode 3. But they're just kind of in the background every now and again. And then we've got what?
Well, that was the ship. So
those are the ships. So we got to talk about Best Girl, which is a harder conversation to have.
Okay.
Because we've got 2 clear contenders. I mean, of the 3 main girls, we've got Hayasaka, Chika, and Kaguya.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say your 2 main contenders are Chika and Kaguya.
Okay.
And it's tough.
Nah, to me it's Kaguya.
I think I'm leaning Kaguya too, but you have to give respect to just the amazingness that is Chika.
Okay.
She's the one that the internet was obsessed with, by the way.
That is true.
It's her dance that took the world by storm.
Mm-hmm.
The show would be very different without her. And like she shines all on her own. It's not like Kaguya shines because she's in love with the president, and that's the story, the through line that we want to.
I'm just picking her because I like the shy, quiet type.
She's not really shy.
She's not shy. She's more reserved.
Yeah, she's reserved and quiet.
Potatoes.
Yeah, but no, I think I would go Kaguya as well. I just wanted to give honorable mention to Chika. And Hayasaka is barely a character in the first season. She's just sort of there to help.
Not first season.
Yeah. She gets some more screen time. She gets some more development.
I feel like Hayasaka, but...
Yeah. She sort of like bosses around the other employees of the thing. Like, I'm going to take this bath. Nobody else can use this room. She puts a lawn chair in the giant bathtub.
She just puts a lawn chair in the bathtub. Okay. And then, I mean, we do dibs count, but I don't think we called dibs on Kaguya. I think we kind of left that one. I don't remember if we did or not.
I don't honestly know.
I think we had like just an implied.
When I throw in no contest tie.
Yeah, we did like an implied truce on this one. I think.
Yeah, I think it just didn't come up.
Yeah.
Like I tried to call dibs at the very end when we saw some characters from next season.
I'll give you them. That's fine.
But I don't remember if we called dibs on Kaguya or Chika or Hayasaka.
I think I called dibs on Hayasaka. I don't know.
Again, we'll just have to go no contest.
We're going
no
contest
dibs awarded
this week. No dibs awarded.
So
Results of today's match. It's a tie.
no contest.
No contest.
We'll see. So that means we're starting fresh slate season 2.
You mean fresh start?
Fresh start? You thinking fresh start?
Think what I'm thinking?
We're like the Febreze brothers. It's so fresh in here.
That's
all right.
That's our other guys.
Check. But I mean, we're 10 minutes past frag time if we want to wrap it up here.
Yeah.
So be sure to follow us on Twitter
Uh-huh.
at anime_territory. We post these every other week on YouTube. Sometimes it's just called Anime Territory on YouTube. Also podcast platforms as Anime Territory. And sometimes we stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/DominicGoku. We haven't done that in a while. Maybe we should do that sometime.
Should.
Do we want to announce the project we're working on that's different than everything else, or leave it in the air for now?
Leave it in the air because
We got something else coming up.
It might be out by the time this comes out.
It's true. It might be. But we might want to get some actually like made in advance this time instead of going straight for it like we did with the.
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, we're working on a project, something a little different.
Yeah.
Something very different, but also not that different.
Different, but not that different.
Yeah. And I've got an idea that I think I've mentioned to you before that we haven't had any time to set up. So, but
Okay.
I'll talk to you about that off mic. But otherwise, you're now leaving the anime territory.
Goodbye.